What if the answer to all your struggles came with a hunger of its own? A hunger you could never hope to satisfy. This is not just the tale of a farmer and his tool. This is a warning about the price of a miracle, and how the very thing that frees you from toil can bind you to a nightmare. Obasi was a good man. A hard-working man. But his farm was a stubborn patch of earth, and his old machete was as blunt as his prospects. Every swing was a battle. Every day, a defeat. He prayed for an edge, for just one break. And one day, deep in the forgotten part of the forest where the old gods are said to sleep, he found it. A machete, plunged into the roots of an ancient, twisted iroko tree. It was pristine. It was perfect. It was a gift. But gifts from the deep forest are never free. They are leases. And the payment is always in red. In the village of Nkanga, Obasi's calloused hands told the story of his life. A story of struggle. While his neighbors cleared their fields with ease, Obasi wrestled with the land. His machete was his most vital tool, and it was failing him. It was a piece of dead iron, a symbol of his frustration. His wife, Rachel, watched the light fade from his eyes season after season. "The earth knows your spirit is heavy, Obasi," she would say, her voice gentle with worry. Perhaps we ask too much of it. But Obasi was proud. He would not be defeated by dirt and wood. One morning, after a night of desperate, silent prayers, he ventured farther than he ever had, into the part of the forest the elders called the Whispering Green. They said spirits of old craftsmen and warriors who loved their blades too much rested there. It was a place of silence, a silence so deep it felt like listening. And there it was. Sunlight, breaking through the canopy, fell on a single spot, the hilt of a machete buried deep in the gnarled root of a giant tree. It was unlike any he had seen. The handle was wrapped in aged leather, patterned with strange, faded symbols. The blade, even caked in old sap and moss, seemed to gleam with a cold, inner light. With a reverent pull, he freed it. The moment the weight settled in his palm, he felt a strange hum, a vibration that traveled up his arm. It felt alive. Eager. He returned to his farm, to a stubborn log that had resisted his old blade for weeks. He raised the new machete, not expecting much, and swung. The log didn't just split. It fell apart as if made of paper. The cut was mirror smooth. Obasi stared, his heart pounding not with effort, but with awe. He tried it on a thick, woody vine. Shing. On a tough, fibrous palm frond. Shing. The blade passed through everything with impossible, effortless grace. It didn't just cut, it divided creation itself. Tears of relief streamed down Obasi's face. His miracle had arrived. For the first time in years, he finished his work before noon. He cleared land in an hour that would have taken him a week. He showed Rachel, and they laughed with joy. The gift from the forest was going to save them. But that first night, Obasi had a dream. He stood in his farm, and the machete in his hand was warm, like living flesh. And it whispered, not in words, but in a feeling of profound, aching thirst. He awoke with a start, dismissing it. A strange dream for a strange day. The next day, the machete's performance was just as miraculous. Yet, as Obasi sliced through a particularly thick bundle of grass, a small, green mamba, unseen in the foliage, was also severed. The blade sliced the snake cleanly in two. Obasi jumped back, a curse on his lips. But as he watched the snake's life twitch away, he saw something impossible. The blood that spattered onto the black iron of the blade vanished. It didn't drip. It didn't dry. It was absorbed. And for the briefest second, the hum and the handle grew warmer, more content. The thirst from his dream echoed in his mind. The unease began to grow, a tiny seed of dread taking root in Obasi's heart. The machete was perfect, yes. But its perfection had a condition. He tried to ignore it. He told himself it was just a tool. But tools don't drink. Tools don't thirst. A week after finding it, he was clearing a thorny thicket. His neighbor's old dog, Bako, a faithful but noisy creature, wandered too close, barking. Annoyed and distracted, Obasi swung at a stubborn branch. The machete, as if with a mind of its own, seemed to curve ever so slightly in his grip. The blade missed the branch entirely. It found Bako's neck instead. Obasi froze in horror. The dog lay dead, its blood pouring onto the dry earth. And his machete, his cursed, miraculous machete, was drinking. The blood snaked towards the blade like iron filings to a magnet, beating up and sinking into the metal until not a single drop remained on the ground. The hum and the handle became a purr of deep satisfaction. The blade gleamed brighter than ever. That night, Obasi tried to throw it into the deepest part of the river. He walked to the bridge, the machete heavy in his hand. But as he lifted it to hurl, a wave of such crippling despair and weakness hit him that he collapsed to his knees. It felt as if his own blood was draining from his body. The message was clear: he could not abandon it. They were bound. The machete had chosen him. Obasi was now a prisoner of his own miracle. The farm flourished. He was the most productive farmer in Nkanga. But the cost was a secret terror. He began to hunt, not for food, but for sacrifice. He would go into the bush, seeking duikers, bush rats, monkeys, anything to sate the blade's growing hunger. Animal blood kept the humming quiet, but only for a day or two. The thirst was returning faster, stronger. And then, the machete began to influence him. When a young man from the village, Kelvin, arrogantly boasted about his own yields and mocked Obasi's past failures, Obasi felt a white-hot rage. It was an unfamiliar feeling, sharp and metallic, mirroring the blade's edge. As Kelvin walked away, laughing, Obasi's hand itched for the handle. He didn't just want to argue, he imagined the swing. The clean cut. He saw, in his mind's eye, the machete drinking deep of Kelvin's insulting laughter. He stumbled home, trembling. The tool was not just thirsty, it was pouring its malice into him. Rachel saw the change. "My husband," she pleaded, holding his tense face. "Your eyes are cold. This thing from the forest is stealing your warmth. You must go to Mzee Ojor." Mzee Ojor was the village's oldest soul, a man who spoke to spirits and understood the language of cursed things. Terrified, Obasi went, the machete wrapped in cloth, humming angrily against his back. The old man did not need to see the blade. "You have brought a guest into our village, Obasi," Mzee Ojor whispered, his voice like dry leaves. "A hungry guest. This is no tool. It is a vessel. It holds the spirit of a warrior who fell in battle, not with honor, but with a bottomless rage and an unquenchable thirst for life. It does not cut to clear your farm. It cuts to take. It has bonded to your life force. To discard it is to discard your own soul. But to keep it, is to become its servant. Its hunter. What can I do?" Obasi begged. The bond can only be broken by a greater spirit, or by fulfilling the original thirst that created it, a thirst not for animal blood, but for that which the warrior craved most at his death, the blood of a rival, spilled in envy. The blood of a man who wronged you. Obasi recoiled. He had no rivals. He had no enemies he wished dead. But as he walked home, the machete's whisper in his mind became a voice, clear and slick with temptation: "Kelvin. Kelvin laughed at you. Kelvin shamed you. His blood is rich. His blood will quiet me, for a long, long time. The battle inside Obasi was a war between the man he was and the weapon he carried. The machete's influence was a poison in his thoughts. He avoided people. He stopped eating. The humming was now a constant drumbeat in his skull. Blood. 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 The breaking point came during the New Yam festival. The village was celebrating. There was music, dancing, and palm wine. Kelvin, flush with drink, clapped Obasi on the back a little too hard. "Look at Obasi," he slurred, laughing. "Still carrying that old machete everywhere. Is it your wife now?" The village laughed. And something in Obasi snapped. The metallic rage flooded him, erasing all reason, all morality. The machete's thirst became his own. He didn't remember leaving the feast. He didn't remember following Kelvin down the dark path to the stream where he went to relieve himself. He only remembered the cool, eager weight in his hand, and the overwhelming need to silence the laughter. Kelvin saw death in Obasi's eyes. He opened his mouth to cry out, but no sound came. Obasi swung. It was not the clean, effortless shing of cutting wood. It was a wet, heavy, final thwack. The machete struck true. And as Kelvin fell, his life pouring out onto the earth, Obasi watched in detached horror. The blood did not pool. It flowed up the blade, a crimson river against gravity, soaking into the metal until the body was pale and drained. The machete glowed with a soft, sinister red light. The hum rose to a deafening, triumphant crescendo in Obasi's mind, and then silence. A profound, empty silence. The thirst was gone. The whispers were gone. The blade felt inert. Just a piece of cold, dead iron in his hand. The bond was broken. The price had been paid. But Obasi was not freed. He was condemned. The sound of the festival laughter in the distance brought him back to himself. He looked at Kelvin's lifeless body. He looked at the clean, bloodless machete. He looked at his own hands. And he screamed. A raw, broken sound that tore through the night. The villagers found him there, cradling the body, sobbing incoherently, the pristine machete lying beside him. They saw the perfect, single-cut wound. They saw no blood at the scene. They remembered the stories of Obasi's miracle blade. And they knew. He was not tried by the chief. He was banished. Cast out into the very forest that had birthed his curse, with only the machete for company. For the spirit within was satisfied. It had used Obasi's pride, then his fear, and finally his envy, to get what it wanted. It had turned a good man into a monster, and then left him alone with the memory of his deed. And so, Obasi wanders, a ghost in his own life. The machete is silent now. It does not thirst. It does not hum. It is just a blade. But for Obasi, every time he looks at it, he hears Kelvin's laugh. He feels the wet impact. He sees the blood flowing upwards. His miracle had a taste. And it made him taste the very depths of hell. The forest gives gifts, but always remembers to take its payment. Was Obasi a victim of a cursed object? Or did the darkness in that blade simply find the matching darkness in his own heart, his pride, his hidden envy? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more journeys into the heart of Africa's darkest, most compelling folktales. Until next time, tread carefully in the deep green.